do a drive-through and do his pit stop, and he's still come out ahead of both Brand Farm and Peter Knapp. So it's a topsy-turvy race so far.
Well, it's certainly been quite something, and the gaps have remained relatively close, though, actually, all things considered, though Bill does have a 5-second lead at this moment in time, so he's looking rather comfortable, and if he can get to about, let's say lap 14, lap 15, then that's easily going to be the 2-stop, and he's going to cover off all of those guys doing interesting strategies behind. So I think Bill's in a very strong position so far.
I agree. I think he's done the usual Cedric Bill thing. I remember at Singapore, he just stayed out of trouble and did the 1-stop, whereas everyone else did a 2 or 3-stop at most. And he was just because he was able to just avoid everyone else gobbling with each other and crashing into each other in some cases, that enabled him to finish P2 in the end. Admittedly helped by Canzonieri spinning out a second in the closing stages, but yeah, certainly Canzonieri, you would think, has got the pace to get in front, and indeed he was 3/10 faster the previous laps. If you look at Andreasen, now starting to fight back against Nando Marsa in the duel for 4th here. Marsa still lapping in the 141.6s, whereas Andreasen 4/10 faster on the harder compounder tyre then. So it looks like the Valet, and remember, Valet are in a battle with Go Team for the team's championship, so it's just so crucial that Andreasen gets as close to Bill as possible here and clears all these drivers in between them. But yeah, Nando Marsa is either going to head to the pit soon, or he'll start defending very, very hard to try and eke these softs a bit further.
Yeah, I think the 12-lap run now on the softs is a good showing that actually the tyre wear is, not as bad as potentially we were expecting. If he's able to go this far, I'm sure he's going to be using hard tyres later on in the race. So let's see. It's going to be a long, long run for Andreasen. It is right now where he'll about open the DRS just before the bridge and he'll get the run down the inside. Should be a nice, clean overtake for the driver on his return and into that position of P4. But some pit stoppers are continuing on because Brant Holm, he's just made his pit stop down in P13. So I wonder if his teammate Andreasen will follow suit. And then, of course, Master on these softs. And
just behind what we've been watching is Zanini used the DRS to clear Gerlof de Vries for 6th place down the back straight into turn 12 then. But Gerlof de Vries has actually fought back into turn 15 and immediately repassed Zanini. So Zanini once more went way too deep into 15. And all that hard work immediately undone. And unfortunately, that's really been the story of Davide Zanini's season so far, where he's put in some great moves, had some great shining moments, and then they've not lasted too long because unfortunately, usually a major error is not far behind.
Let's see how he's done this one. So he's looking all good at this moment in time. He's ahead of the Evo driver, just locked the rears slightly. Does a bit of a half spin, actually saves that rather nicely, but the Evo diving back up the inside.
Yeah, certainly some good car control nonetheless, as now we see Marsa pitting for a set of medium tyres. So the softs have lasted 12 laps, as you say. They've said their purpose, and now he's going to try and stretch the mediums for a similar length stint, you would think. Maybe they could go a couple of laps longer than the soft. But this is very, very interesting from Ground Effect because he's emerged 4 seconds behind Josh Hughes, but on much fresher and much faster compounder tyre in the mediums.
Yeah, so he's done 12, so he needs to do 27. So he's got a 13 and a 14 lap stint to the end. So that would make sense. Or is he going to do, let's say, 14, 15 on the mediums and then go back to the soft at the end if he's clearly actually got some decent tyre wear? There's me saying that the tyre wear is going to be difficult. And maybe he's not even going to use the hards. But is that the fastest way to the end? We will certainly have to find out as we are about a third. I'll come up towards a third of the way into the race. And Bill is still leading by 5 seconds. The gap stays the same, but he's now coming into the pit lane.
And a good thing too, because Josh Hughes was starting to creep towards the pit window, wasn't he? Setting mid 139s consistently, whereas Bill was in the 142s that last lap, and otherwise he was in the 141s, wasn't he? So it was absolutely crucial. Canzonieri, he's going to carry on, and carry the can indeed he does, as Phelan follows Bill into the pits, and Andreasen is doing exactly the same as well. So this is really where the hards, they're only able to last 14 laps, and that creates a massive headache in terms of the strategy here. As here comes De Vries onto the podium positions for the first time in his brief academy career, and looks like Zanini as well has just been able to get out in front of Bill. But of course, none of the top three have been able to stop yet. But Bill comfortably out ahead of Josh Hughes.
this race just proves the fact that this season and the way we have the tyres, you can basically do whatever you want. With the tyres, they just seem to be close enough to have these strategies, where you can kind of do whatever you want, but they're not so close that it's basically all the same. You still have some room to do something. And let's see how these new tyres are going to work for Bill, because surely he's going to get a much better exit than Zanini, and with DRS this should be a nice overtake.
I think Zanini's rear tyres are probably crying enough after that little half spin at 15 on the previous lap. DRS open, it's going to be a comfortable move before they even get to the braking zone, and Bill is already back up to third. Next target, Gerlof de Vries,
who is in second place. He's got Canzonieri up the road. Is he going to get a lap lead? Is Canzonieri going to go into the pit lane on this lap and give Gerlof de Vries a lead lap? We'll have to see, because Canzonieri does. He covers off from Bill. He was only 5 seconds behind. That'll be nearer 6 or 7 by the time the undercut is taken into effect. So Gerlof de Vries will be taking the lead if he can stay out one more lap, or is he going to choose this lap to come in? Yes, he does. He doesn't need the lap, as Zanini in the background too. But Bill versus Canzonieri, of course, Bill will be leading, but just what will the gap be?
I could have swore Davide Zanini was thinking about staying out, saw De Vries go in, and immediately darted and thought, I should do what he does.
Yeah, you don't want to be undercut, especially when you're at a circuit where the tyre wear is high. You just lose so much. And Canzonieri there is actually about 5 seconds still from Bill. So in that regard, he didn't actually lose too much, although it might actually just go up a little bit as we work our way through the first sector.
Here we go. So rejoin the circuit in 5th and 6th are Gerlof de Vries and Davide Zanini, but Canzonieri has retaken that second place, 5 seconds behind Bill, and I believe about 3 or 4 seconds ahead of Josh Hughes there. So Hughes was probably the major threat, and of course Hughes is sort of in a bit of a difficult strategy because he's on 6-lap old hard tyres compared to Canzonieri and Bill, both on fresh mediums, as Phelan comes in for a service as well. And it looks like he has hit trouble because he was in that leading group. Now he's made his pit stop. He's come out behind Miriam in 12th. So I think he's had to make an extra stop somewhere for some reason or other.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Did he get a penalty? I can't see a penalty.
Yeah, 2-minute 12.3 his last lap, whereas Bill, who pit, said a 2:01.3. So there's 10 seconds that's been lost somewhere.
Yeah, maybe that's just some damage repairs that he had to do at the pit stop. We've also had another DNF for a valet. That's Rasmus Andreasen, who we'll get to in a minute, because we are seeing, I think there's an overtake there from Galana Mattis getting past Demolians for P7 as they continue their battle on in that midfield. Everyone's onto the medium hard, no soft tyres out there, but let's try and have a look to see what happened to Andreasen, because he was just in the pit stop about 30 seconds
sideways in the pits as well.
Has someone? I wonder if someone's hit him in the background, or.
Oh, good spot. Oh, he reversed into Phelan. No wonder Phelan had to come into the pits again. But Andreasen losing the rear tyre there, so a big hit. And it's not the first time, unfortunately, that Luca Phelan has hit a valet in the pit lane. It happened at Singapore earlier this season. And it was literally just because Rasmus Andreasen missed the pit box and started to reverse right as Phelan was being released.
Yeah, so that is a mixture of sort of unlucky timing and also just not the best driving as well. As we're going to go back to live, up the inside is going to be for Thailand, gets past Perseus Miram. They're in towards turn number 1. So yeah, so Rasmus Andreasen loses or misses his braking point, slides past, then he has to reverse back. But it's a little bit unlucky that Thailand was just moving at the same time. But either way, reversing ends up generally being your fault.
Yes, exactly. You can ask Nigel Mansell exactly what happens when you reverse in the pit lane. I believe he got disqualified. Portugal 1989, I think, was the race in question. But anyway, Cedric Bill sets a personal best lap race, 1:39.063, and extends that gap to Canzonieri to 5.3 seconds there. Meanwhile, Josh Hughes has been caught by Nandor Massa, who is about half a second a lap quicker. As fastest lap of the race for Cedric Bill, 1:38.8 there. 0.3 quicker than Canzonieri. But Josh Hughes, I think, has got a real tough job to hold on to this podium, and it might be a little bit too much, especially with that tyre wear. We know he says that the SimSpark likes to just chew through its tires, and unfortunately, after having to serve the driver penalty, that's put him into the clutches of Massa, who has really nursed those softs, and that's put him into really a great position to take his first podium of the season.
Yes, it's awesome. It's awesome how these races are going. As have we that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Demolian's just pitting there.
Yeah, I thought that's who I was clicking on, because I thought he was having some issues, but it wouldn't seem to go to him. But no, he is into the pit lane, so another stopper there coming out onto the hard compound tyres. Has got 22 laps in this race. Bill has DRS, interestingly, when there's no one up ahead of him, but I'm sure he's not going to be complaining about that one, as he still leads the way by 6 seconds now. So Canzoneri didn't actually gain as much, so lose as much as I was thinking through that undercut.
Yeah, so Olivier Demolians did a 16-lap stint on hard tyres, which by the stance of this race so far seems to be something of a record. Let's see if a Pro or World Championship can beat that in terms of stint length. I imagine Tom Oldenmenger is going to look at that and think, right, challenge accepted, after that amazing stint he did, what was it, on the medium or soft tyres at Imola, where he did like a large chunk of the race on that compound and ended up finishing 4th. But there we watch now Nandor Master, the Hungarian, who's had to do the entire season as the sole Grand Effect driver in Academy, because we know Grand Effect previous champions in Academy, and of course this has been maybe not an off season for them, but definitely Master's been the sole focus at least, so he's got all the attention from the team, but sadly no teammates to back him up, so this is all down to him. And Josh Hughes then has got to defend with all the life left in those soft tyres. The S's shouldn't be too much of a problem, no big opening or opportunity for Master to use, but once they get down that run into turn 12, you expect the Ground Effect to use its DRS and find a way through either on the outside or up the inside if it needs to be a late move.
And Hughes is still in a strong position, but as mentioned earlier, he has been struggling with the tyre wear in practice, and I wonder if that's going to start kicking in as we get towards half distance in the race. He's going to go deep to the left-hand side, MotoGP style, to try and defend. Master's not actually following him, so he isn't really going to be going for the overtake this time around. Does get that DRS, but with no slipstream, he's no closer coming to the next braking zone.
It did have the air there of Josh Hughes defending thin air almost into turn 12 there, but the SimSpark trying to compensate for any weaknesses, especially with DRS in play here for the Ground Effect behind him. But yeah, meanwhile, let's have an update very briefly on our title contenders. Peter Knapp is up to 8th, 2.7 seconds ahead of Dano Bramfom there. So that's the progress that they're making. So Peter Knapp is now trying to catch up to Gallon Amartis, who he's lapping about 0.8 a lap quicker at the present moment. But Bramfom haven't been given the position back, as it seemingly lost it in the pits when Knapp undercut him, essentially.
Yes, but the pit stops are kind of all over the place, and with the slowing down there as well from Knapp after the contact. Yeah, not the ideal race situation, but they are going to be deep into the top 10, I would assume, after another 20 laps of action. And it does seem like the overtaking around here isn't actually quite as bad as I was being led to believe from some drivers after the practice, which is good. I wonder if Zanini can finally find his way past Garth de Vries, who he overtook and then was re-overtaken, and now is trying to get back past after some struggles.
Yeah, we also see everyone seems to have found the second half of the Academy race in the YouTube stream, because of course they had to change pages essentially. But there's lots of support for Nando Moss, including from their pro championship hopeful Zoltzux, who calls him Master Nandor. So let's see if Nandor can master turn 12 here, as he has a look up the inside but has to back out on the attempt to pass Josh Hughes. So Hughes continues to impress, it must be said. If not for that jump start, he might even have been fighting for the lead right now. So there's obviously a bit of frustration there at play, but he is certainly driving the widest SimSpark that I've seen for a while this season.
Yeah, he's got a couple of interesting racing lines there through the double hairpin kind of section, which does just close off Massa having a dive down the inside, but then of course he technically loses a little bit of time because he's not doing the absolute fastest racing line, but it's working for now because he's able to keep him behind, and then he also had enough battery on the straights to be able to defend and hold on. And here's another opportunity up in towards turn 1. Huge rise up there. You can really brake late, but then just as it flattens off there, and the rear does go a bit light, you've got to be careful, but they get through there rather nicely. And I think Massa will have another opportunity on the back straight this time round, because look how close he is through turn 2 and 3.
He is, yes, he's absolutely going for it here. And luckily for both of them, there's a 12-second gap to Gerloff de Vries, although Master is actually being a bit held up here. Both of them in the 141s, whereas Gerloff de Vries is in the 140.6s then. So there could be a threat here to Master's race if he gets stuck here, if Josh Hughes becomes this immovable object that he just can't get rid of.
It's still an amazing job from Hughes, though. That actually goes a bit wide there. This might be the overtake for Master. Let's see. The DRS is very, very late, though. Very short zone around this track as it opens just about now for Master. He gets closer and closer, goes to the right-hand side, and doesn't make enough distance to be able to get the overtake. So Hughes is doing a good job. Not the best exit. Master now to the left-hand side, and once again Hughes is taking this very defensive line to block that off. But he is losing some time, and he'll do it again in towards the next braking zone. Covers off that inside line. Not the fastest way through, but enough to keep the position.
Yeah, Josh Hughes has done 11 laps on those hard tyres. The most we've seen is 16 laps, isn't it? So they are starting to get near the end of their stint here, and Nando Massa senses an opportunity here. The only problem is that ground effect doesn't quite have the top end, it seems, at the end of the straight into turn 12 to really challenge. So, and I think Josh Hughes is very aware that he's got that top speed advantage.
And that's always a good thing. Maybe that could be one reason why he's been saying he's been struggling with tyre wear, if he didn't put the downforce on the car for the fast corners around here. But if you're then able to hold the position on the straight, then sometimes it's actually beneficial to not have as much wing. And in FSR, we only have the sort of 10 clicks of wing, so the jumps are quite significant in between each step, so you really have to choose your downforce level as such. You can't just fine-tune it with micro clicks as such. So there's only 10 steps between Singapore downforce and Monza, even though we don't go to Monza this year, but you know what I mean. There's not too many options for the teams. They really have to plan it out, and here goes Master once again.
Yeah, he gets very, very close on the exit through 11, doesn't he? And then it's down the straight that Josh Hughes just tends to have him covered here. Let's see if he's going to try and go, or is it going to be inside or outside? It's going to be the outside for Massa, but again, he forces Josh Hughes to get defensive, and that could slightly compromise his line through this infield section then. So into 13 and 14 they go. But again, it looks like Josh Hughes has just got the line that he needs. Gets to the outside through 15, slightly compromised exit, and Massa is just trying to find the space wherever he can find it, but he's going to get washed out wide if he tries to go around the outside here through 17 and 18 then. So it looks like he'll be stuck behind for yet another lap.
And Hughes is definitely struggling a little bit. I know that makes sense because he goes into the pit lane. The car's moving around a bit. He's missing some apexes. A little bit of a slide for Master as well, but he's released now as Hughes comes into the pit lane. He's halfway through the race, and he goes on to another set of the hard tyres. 17, well, really 18 laps to go. So I would assume he's going to split that in half, maybe go to the soft at the end, maybe the mediums. I don't assume he's going to go to the end of the race from here, but let's find out. I think Master is on the 2-stop though, so this might actually not work out the best for Hughes in the end with an extra stop, but let's find out as Glanamatis gets past for 6th.
Yeah, he would have to do, 17 laps from now on lap 22 to get to lap 39. So, yeah, the hards would be... Oh, look at the way Zanini's soaring away at the wheel through 7 and 8 there in the wake of Gerloff de Vries then. He is clearly a little bit frustrated that he's been stuck behind the Dutchman for so long. He's sort of in that similar position that we saw Massa in for quite a while.
And that turn there of, is it 7, the left-hander, that's probably so difficult because you come through the flowing S's section where it's left, right, and then you have this long right, and then you've got to wait, and then turn left. So you sort of lose the rhythm a little bit because it's not left, right. You have to have that just moment of hesitation before turning in, and it's very difficult to get the turning point correct. As Gerloff de Vries just slightly missing the apex there. And Zanini actually was saying, just trying to do anything he can to get the car turned into that one. I think he's slightly faster potentially than de Vries, but He's not able to get quite close enough to Reese. And everyone in the top 4 actually are on the medium compound tyres. Zanini, a couple of cars behind, are on the hard.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a nickname for Davide Zanini. We call him the Zanini Panini. Because after an incident, there was a race at Valencia Street Circuit where he somehow was able to flip the car over the bridge. That's a Valencia Street Circuit, which I've never seen anybody else do before. And it's not my greatest moment of commentary, but it seems to have stuck as a memorable nickname for him. And he's certainly had his wild child moments here and there. But whatever you think of Davide Zanini, he's absolutely guaranteed to provide entertainment when you put him in the car. As we look, is that Josh Hughes going around the outside of Galamatis at turn 1? So making progress, purple middle sector on that previous lap then, 38.9 for Josh Hughes as Peter now makes another stop then.
Yes, he does, as Brant Holm is out on track, so I assume he's going to make his stop shortly as well. They, being obviously some of the more top drivers in this championship, maybe they can get those hard compound tyres to the end. It shouldn't be quite a stretch for them compared to some of the others. Let's see, as the DRS is going to be open for Zanini, getting closer to Gerloff de Vries, not close enough to make the move. So de Vries still up inside a top 4 position that is held for a little while now. We are expecting another stop from these drivers to get to the end though, and that could be crucial with who gets the undercut.
Indeed it could. Meanwhile, up front, it looks like Terry Crawford and Lucas Visca have been lapped by Cedric Bill then. I think Terry Crawford's actually gone 2 laps down just now. So certainly looks like traffic's not a big issue with only 14 cars still running. So everyone is guaranteed to score points as we predicted early on. But yeah, Canzonieri 5.9 seconds behind Cedric Bill. So it looks like that's definitely going to be the battle for the win. And Cedric Bill, who has waited so long for that first win, this is a golden opportunity for him, but he needs to make sure Canzonieri doesn't outsmart him on the strategy here at the end. He doesn't chew through these mediums and then just run out of tyres in the final few laps.
Yes, looking a strong race for Team GG. But as you say, big slide there as we go. The one time we show him on camera is making a little bit of mistake, but we'll try and avoid that one. But yeah, Canzonieri really needs to try and get the undercut in this stint, but then the issue is he'll be struggling at the end of the race, so he's got to be careful with that one. However, I think it's going to be a tough one because the gap has basically stayed the same the whole race since we came back to the race, which was about lap 8 or so, and the second part of the stream was about 5 seconds, and it's only gone up 1 second due to the undercut. So I think they're basically identical on pace over this track.
Yeah, there's very, very little to choose between them, and that's really been the case for most of the season, it must be said. But yeah, they're both very, very consistent, Bill and Canzonieri, and that's why they're still in the title fight at this late phase of the season. But yeah, surely the strategy for this particular race, they're going to wait till later on and then pit for another set of mediums. I think that would probably be the most sensible way of getting to the end then. So Canzonieri, who pit later, a lap later than Bill in the previous stint then, could try and reverse it and do a very, very short stint, maybe try and push for the in-lap here. But Josh Hughes, meanwhile, is setting fastest laps of the race down in 6th position, and he's about 5.9 behind this battle between Zanini and Gerloff de Vries then. So Gerloff de Vries can hold up Zanini, then Josh Hughes could be arriving on the scene before too long on those much fresher hard tyres. Yeah,
he really is chasing them down, isn't he? So fresher tyres, and especially in this car, for Josh Hughes, he's been very fast all day. The longevity may be a bit more of an issue compared to the raw pace, but that SimSpark car is looking very fast. Definitely done the prep over the last month that we've had since the previous race at Spa-Francorchamps, and he's coming in very hot on the back of Zanini and de Vries, who have been out on their tyres for quite a while, and we do expect to come into the pit lane in the next few laps to go to the end of the race. And actually, we are expecting Hughes to make a final pit stop as well. So this is for position, and it's going to turn into a 3-way battle.
Indeed it is. So as de Vries almost tries to get defensive against Zanini, but Zanini luckily does not get a brilliant run down the straight towards turn 12. So Josh Hughes just continuing to pump in those purple sectors, and it doesn't look like he's going to try and save those hards to eke out to the end. He's just going to absolutely go for it. Maybe even do another stint on softs in the final couple of laps if he's feeling really bold. We did see Nando Masters stretch him out to 12 laps, so it is possible. but perhaps not in the SimSpark. You might want to wait till 7 or 8 laps or so to go. But yeah, Zanini, the frustration continuing to creep in, and the more that Josh Hughes is biting seconds per lap out of that lead that he has over him, the more frustrated he's going to get just being stuck in the middle here, because he's almost like the cork in the bottle and he can't escape.
Yeah, one more lap and Hughes is going to be on the back of them. So is that going to be the point where either of these two drivers decide to come into the pit stop? Because you don't really want Hughes to get involved, lose each other a load of time, and then you stop anyway. So you might as well do that beforehand. But then you've got to go longer, potentially, on the final stint than you would have wanted. I would say, though, this is probably the lap that Gerloff de Vries should pit, or at least Zanini maybe, to try and get that undercut. One of them, at least, should pit. The fact that Hughes is going to be on the back of them very shortly. He might even get the DRS, you know. This time around, the detection zone is just here through the kink. And, yeah, he's definitely going to be there.
Yeah, both De Vries and Zanini have done 11 laps on mediums and hards respectively, whereas Josh Hughes has only done the 4. So it's that's a 6-lap delta in favour of the SimSpark here, and he's well in the tow and well in the DRS, as you say, Cam. So Zanini is surely going to be picked off here, even with the aid of his own DRS. Josh Hughes rockets to the inside, goes for the brakes, tries not to hit the Evolution car in front of him, and now just has to complete the move up the inside on Davide Zanini there. So Zanini down to 6th and Hughes back up to 5th as Bill pits from the lead.
Yeah, this is the lap I think one of De Vries or Zanini should be pitting to basically to avoid losing any more time. And as the gap has been opened up in between them, with Hughes getting in between, as you say, the two leaders coming into the pit lane just want to see what happens at pit entry. Is De Vries going to go in? No, he is going to stay out as Hughes dives into the inside of the final corner. A bit unorthodox, but this is now going to lose some more time. He's in the background. Who's going for a spin?
Zanini.
That is Zanini, and he is unfortunately going to be out of this one, whereas Hughes might finally have this move.
There we go. I saw Hughes getting very, very close at the final corner, but round the outside on Gerloff de Vries. A little bit of contact made as Gerloff just tries to get out of the way there. But yeah, Josh Hughes using the extra grip to great effect there. I thought for a second there when they were going side by side at the final corner, we're going to see a rerun of Brandfolm and Knapp, this incident from earlier on. But luckily, disaster was avoided then, as we see Galamartis now leading Zanini after his spin.
And here he is. He hits the curb. I think, yeah, he was getting very eager on the throttle. Maybe the tiniest bit of understeer as well from the dirty air ahead. And then as he rejoins, then you're going to get the Netrex car of Galanamatis come through. So very crucial loss of time there for Zanini, because he's now going to have to chase down De Vries, who's actually staying with Hughes, to be fair. Hughes isn't just running off into the distance, but he now needs to chase down quite a lot. About 8 seconds he lost in all of that.
There we go. So Davide Zanini, impatient and overeager on the front. That doesn't sound like him, Cam. But anyway, so Cedric Bill and Nando Massa have both pit and come out about 5 or 6 seconds then ahead of it's Bill and Canzonieri, sorry, that pit, and Massa has emerged in between the two of them. Of course, though, he is running very, very long on those medium tires. He's done 14 laps himself, so surely he'll be making his final stop before too long, and indeed, in he comes.
Yep, indeed. Pit stop time for the final time, hopefully, in the race for a few drivers, happening over the next couple of laps as we are on to lap 28. And it's the soft again, so he is doing what I thought and not using the hard tyres all day. Interesting strategy at the hottest race of the year, but he's making it work as he's up in half-decent position. Zanini, as you would expect, comes in with those dead tyres. First time he's got back to pit entry, and then comes in for a set of the mediums. The good thing for De Vries now is, because he's got that 8 seconds gap, he can let Zanini have those couple of laps, actually, undercut, and stay out and make sure that he's got some nice tyres at the end himself.
Yeah, so we know De Vries and Galanmartis have got another stop to make, because Galanmartis has done 14 laps on the hards in this stint. De Vries has done 13 on the mediums. And Josh Hughes is all we see is that Terry Crawford just trying to get out of the way of Hughes. It is indeed. So
teammates.
There we go. Mercifully, disaster avoided there. Terry's far too sensible to take his teammate out when he's fighting for the podium. But indeed, we're not sure if Josh Hughes, you say he's going to make the other stop. Now that he's cleared De Vries, I wonder if he might be going a bit easier on the tyres now. 140.3 his last lap.
Yeah, I do think he will need to, just looking at the historical data. And he's got De Vries covered off anyway because he's ahead of an undercut distance. So I think it's still going to work out for Hughes, and he's probably still going to end up P3 in this race, despite doing an extra stop effectively. So that is not too bad.
But Marsa's going to the end, though, so it could be very close between Hughes and Marsa, especially if Marsa is able to undercut in this particular stint. And he sets a personal best middle sector 39.2. So you have to figure out what the pit window is. So Hughes 15 seconds behind the lead as De Vries comes in, and Marsa 28 seconds behind. So yeah, that's about 17 seconds or so.
De Vries onto the soft tyres. So Marsa also on the soft, but he's going to be quite a way ahead, so probably enough to defend. There's Brantholm as well on the hard compound tyres. And then we've got De Vries coming up towards turn 1. So, actually someone else is going to get past him. That's Lucas Tylen. And he's going to get past into P7.
Yeah, so Brantholm's strategy is interesting. He's gotten 17 laps on the hards. The Peter Knapp has bailed out and gone for a set of hard tyres. He's been on them 6 laps now. And that's surely an attempt to get to the end. But Brantholm seems to be really stretching this middle stint out. Or he could be trying to get these hards to the end, by which point they'll be very, very second hand. So it could be that Valet are taking a big risk here to keep Brantholm ahead of Peter Knapp in terms of track position, and just hope that in the final 2 laps the hards can hold on.
I think that could be the case, and they kind of need to do so because they need to gain points realistically on Peter Knapp for the championship, as they are sitting behind. And you never want to go into the final race of the season behind where possible. It's going to be difficult for them to overcome all of the 12-point gap, but you want to be as close as you can in that case, and then we'll be basically a winner-takes-all kind of situation in Japan in 3 weeks' time. So that could be very, very interesting if we get to that sort of situation. But Knapp is actually not too far behind Zanini and De Vries, so he might have a few more points up his sleeve as well.
Yeah, so if Brantholm can finish 6th, he would get 10 points. If Peter Knapp can finish 10th, he would get 6 points, so that would be a 4-point gain at the moment. So that 12-point gap will go down to 8 points going into the final race at Suzuka. But as you say, Peter Knapp rocketing towards the back of Zanini, who has not necessarily kept it the cleanest, especially with those rear tyres. As in comes Brantholm, and indeed he's going for the soft tyres. So it was wait late on and try and do the last 9 laps on soft tyres and then re-overtake Peter Knapp. That's the strategy, but he's going to come out quite a way behind. As we look at Marsa now closing on Gallinamartis, who himself has stretched. That's 16 laps on the hard tyres, so surely Nando Marsa is going to make this very, very easy here.
Yeah, it's interesting to stay out this long, because he could have stopped already to go to the soft to the end, as some other people have, but Gallinamartis is trying that to stay out for now. But I think it's not going to be too much of a difficult overtake here for Marsa, who's going to go past and get up into what is, of course, a P4, and Hughes ahead still has to pit, but Marsa's doing a big undercut here, so I think you might be right, actually, what you said a couple of laps ago, Ed. I think he's going to do enough that Hughes isn't going to be able to retreat from that, so it might actually be a podium coming here for Marsa.
Or it could force Josh Hughes into doing what I thought Brantholm was going to try and do, where he just stays out on the hards for as long as he can. He's been on them 8 laps, Josh Hughes, so it's not quite as bad as what as the state that Brantholm's tyres were in. But yeah, Nando Marsa now just 11 seconds behind. It's forcing Josh Hughes to make a decision because he's been caught hand over fist at the moment.
Certainly has, as Knapp is obviously still in the general vicinity of Zanini, but Zanini was actually faster by half a second on that previous lap. Someone stopped at pit entry there. Who is that at pit entry?
It's Terry Crawford.
Yes, he was obviously having a couple of issues, and he comes in obviously a lap down. Viscott as well, he's had a couple of off-track issues, and he's gone a lap down too.
Yeah, certainly difficult races for the both of them, but worth continuing because especially Terry Crawford, who has got precious few points this season, it would mean an awful lot for SimSpot. He's only got 6, of course, from finishing 13th in both Singapore and Spa, and there's every chance if somebody else drops out, he can match that and add another 3 points to the total. He'll get 2 at the moment, though. And if Josh Hughes can just get to the end in a decent position, even if he can't get on the podium if he finishes 4th or 5th, that would still be a huge result for SimSpark this season.
Certainly would, and for a team who's not had top results, I think the performance from Hughes today is certainly looking really, really nice indeed. Nap is getting, I think, slightly closer once again. Yeah, a couple of tenths on the previous lap to Zanini, and starting to think about maybe trying to do something. And we have all three tyre compounds out in this battle ahead. We've got De Vries on the soft, then Zanini on the mediums, and Nap on the hards, but they're all having a fairly close battle indeed. It does seem that De Vries was able to cover off in the end. That gap, Zanini, when he spun it, got up to 8 seconds. It's now down to about 4.5. But still, De Vries was able to cover that one off nicely in the overall terms of things, and despite being undercut there. And he should be okay being on the softs to the end to hold on to that as well.
Yeah, and speaking of the championship, we haven't talked about this too much, but Canzonieri in third, getting those 21 points, and Bill in fourth, getting those 25 points for the win. That would mean Canzonieri would gain 13 points on Peter Knapp, and he is 20 behind at the moment, so that put him within 7 points of the championship lead, arguably closer than what Brandfarm's going to be. And then Bill, who is 26 points behind, would gain 25 points. So 25 minus 8 is, which is what, that would be 17 points. So, yeah, he would get almost, 26 minus 17. That would be, only 9 points behind. So it'd only be 2 points behind there, Canzonieri then. So it really would mean we'd be in potentially for a 3 or 4-way fight going into Suzuka.
Which is what you love to see.
Unless Peter Knapp can gain a load of places.
Yeah, absolutely. He still has plenty of time. Plenty of laps left to try and make some moves. But let's see what Knapp can do. He's got the run on Zanini down the inside. It's going to be, can he make it to the apex? He's very tight there. Oof. And just about covers off. Zanini to the outside. It's going to be on those medium compound tyres. Knapp goes in deep once more. Zanini thinks about getting the undercut. They go side by side through the kink. But now it's going to be to the inside for Knapp as they swap around. And it looks like it's going to be the Go Team driver who's able to hold on in the end. Up into P7. He needs to chase down De Vries up ahead, but 6 seconds in 6 laps might be a little bit too much to ask, considering he's on 2-step harder compounds.
Yeah, so valiant defense from Zanini to hold on around the outside. But now he's got Brandfarm catching him on the softs, who's going to be 2 seconds a lap faster almost, and he's 7 seconds down on him at the moment. So Zanini, that defensive action is surely not done just yet, because Brandfarm is charging right now.
Yes, he's coming in very hot on these soft compound tyres. And I do love to see this, actually. I wasn't quite expecting so many softs to be used, but it seems to be working. Master has used 2 sets of softs, and he's looking at a potential podium today if Hughes either is going to start struggling massively on the hards or is going to have to make a final pit stop. But it looks like he is going to try and get to the end. So we'll see how that one works out. So it's working out for him. De Vries in 6th place, also on the softs. And a third driver using the softs today is Brandhelm in that 9th place. So 3 inside the top 10. It's not too bad considering the conditions.
Yeah, and Massa is now 9.1 seconds behind Josh Hughes. So he's taken another 2 seconds out of him. Can the softs keep this charge up? Can Josh Hughes keep lapping consistently in the 140s? Because I think if he can just keep in the low 140s, he might be able to hold on before Massa can catch him, but it's going to be pretty marginal. So Josh Hughes has done an exceptional job in this race to hold on to that podium for as long as he has, but Ground Effect absolutely pushing to steal it from him. And look at how much Massa almost losing it in the final corner there.
Still got 5 laps to go. So if he's struggling with tyres already, that's not the ideal situation. But I assume he is pushing quite hard because he can see the gap of Hughes coming down very, very quickly. Indeed. What was the time between them? It was only 4 tenths on the previous lap, actually. So, yeah, Hughes has still got decent speed in that SimSpark. Is it going to be enough? It's looking good as long as he doesn't make any silly mistakes.
Yeah, and as long as the hards don't just drop off a cliff at a certain point then. 12 laps at the moment he's done, and he's still got another 5 to go then, so that would be 17 laps on the hard tyre, which I believe would break the record, although Gallo Martis has done 20 actually, having said that, and still yet to pit. So Gerlof de Vries might fancy a chance of getting into 5th position here. Gallo Martis has just done a monster stint on these hards.
Yeah, are they actually realising maybe the tyre wear is not quite as bad as they were expecting, and that's why we're seeing some drivers going a bit longer than we would have expected. Interesting strat from the Greek driver, but if it works out and if he's able to hold off those extra 6 seconds to De Vries, then he's definitely going to be worth it, and he'll get himself a P5 position. So not too bad indeed from him. De Vries, of course, on those soft tyres is closing him down though, and on the previous lap was 2 seconds a lap faster. So doing the maths on that, he should be able to catch him.
Yes, and while you're doing the maths on that, I'll try and figure out how this is going to affect the championship with Lewis McGlade at Spa in the pro clubs was making fun of my maths skills, which I think was fair enough because I only got an A, not an A star in GCSE maths back in the day. So,
that's anyway, better than what I got.
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, Marsa has just got to go hell for leather, and he's been cheered on as well in the YouTube chat. There's a message saying, "Okay, Nandor, here is Bono. Reduce the gap as much as you can. It's hammer time." So treating him like Lewis Hamilton there. Braxock was making a joke about Master Nandor's feet are jelly. I don't know. So that's saying that he's just when he was fighting with Hughes earlier, I think. So maybe you think he was just getting out onto the brakes a little bit too early there.
Yeah, maybe, or it's what I had, especially back in the day when I first started racing. I was always nervous to hit the pedals. My feet were shaking whenever you got into a bit of a tense battle. But obviously, fortunately, the experience comes to that over the years. But it's always a bit of a scary one. When you actually get into a bit of a tough battle, or you get into a good position finally, you realise you might be able to get a good result. It's always a bit of a scary one. But who's not getting some good results today is Brandholm. Was up in second place, got spun out earlier, and is on his way to come back. Can it be another position into P8? Yes, it's going to be nice and easy for the Swedish driver down the inside. It's going to be, but yeah, plenty ahead of Zanini, and he's up into P8.
There we go. So some good news then for Dano Brandholm, and he is on fresher tyres than his championship rival Peter Knapp. 4.5 seconds. That's a gap he's got to close in these final few laps. But as long as Peter Knapp doesn't make any major mistakes, then surely Brandholm's just going to run out of time here.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Brandholm's going to quite get there, as we're now on to lap 36 of 39 for the leader, who of course is Cedric Bill, who he has been for quite a while now, and he has not looked back. And it's what a race, what a time to get his first race win of the season as well. He's had a second and a third place at Singapore, and then Great Britain. And then he's had a run of 5th and 6th places. But to get your first win with a couple of races to go, put yourself back in championship contention, is certainly perfect timing.
Yeah, and I believe he's going to win from outside the top 5 on the grid, which is certainly unprecedented there. So really a very, very good start, and just staying out of trouble has allowed Bill to build the race that he has. But meanwhile, for Galan Martis, the tyres are really starting to cry enough here. 1:42.0 his last lap, so De Vries is lapping more than 2 seconds a lap quicker than him, and he's only 2.6 behind. So Galan Martis, he might be able to hold on to 6 with the gap they've got to Peter Knapp, but De Vries is surely going to catch him before too long.
Yeah, 2 seconds. You're going to see a big gain here through this stadium section, I would assume, for the Evo driver getting closer to the Netrex. These two drivers actually used to race back in this division when it was called Pro. A few years ago, before the names swapped around back in 2018. They raced each other, and they are still going here in 2024. Galan Martis, of course, being in from the start of the season. Gerloff started in Pro, then went down to Academy, and is now battling for his first top 5 position of the season. And with just a couple of laps to go, look how close he's getting.
Yeah, so big opportunity then for Gerloff De Vries to get reacquainted with his old sparring partner then. But Galan Martis then, and just look how deep he has to go uphill into turn 1 there. You can tell he's just really struggling for traction, and feels like he's just struggling to keep it on the road to an extent here. So I have a feeling he might even struggle to keep Knapp behind. And
because the thing is that De Vries is 2 seconds a lap faster than Galan Martis, but then Knapp in behind is another second a lap faster than the pair of them. So he's coming in strong, and if these two start battling, you might be right, Knapp might be able to get the pair of these guys before the end of the race. We do have a car up ahead as well, which is, I think, Viscott a lap down. But let's see if De Vries is able to do this one and done and get past the Greek driver. He's a little bit far behind though. There's going to have to be a little bit of ascend.
Yeah, Josh Hughes, by the way, is still being caught by Nando Massa, but even more being caught is Gallimatis then. Up the inside goes Gerloff De Vries with the DRS into turn 12 there, and that was pretty straightforward in the end. The softs, the superior tyre, better run onto the back straight, and De Vries now up into the top 5, which will be his first top 5 in Academy this season. And look behind, Peter Knapp, championship leader, is trying to get those extra few points off of Gallimatis, who is crawling around.
And if the championship gets close in Japan in 3 weeks' time, these couple of extra points from Knapp might be crucial. And let's see how this one works out. It's going to be first a back marker of Viscott to get past, and then he'll have to do the real overtake as such of Gallimatis, who is in 6th position. Knapp is in 7th, and we come on to the penultimate lap of this race here at COTA. It's been a very weird one with how it's worked out, all of the different strategies, and a couple of incidents as well have put us in this place, but we now have the faster drivers coming from behind in the final laps.
Indeed we do. And Massa now 4 seconds behind Josh Hughes, still lapping just under 2 seconds a lap quicker, but running out of laps here. So SimSpark only need to hold on, and Gallimatis surely cannot hold on. He's lapping in the 1:43.4s here. It is just all falling apart for him, and Peter Knapp is surely even going to catch him before they get to turn 11 here. He's going to pull to the inside. No defense offered whatsoever from the Greek driver Gallimatis, of course, the pole sitter back at the Turkish Grand Prix, but now losing that 6th place to Peter Knapp, who gains an extra point in his championship charge.
And he has the DRS as well, because the detection is before he made the overtake. Slight defensive line just to make sure that nothing silly happens, and that is going to be P6 for Knapp. So the crucial part here as well actually is Brandholm, so he's got another driver in between him and Brandholm, so Danove is going to have to try and get past the Greek driver Gallimatis as well, as he's on those soft compound tyres compared to the very old, now hard compound tyres. It was almost 4 seconds a lap faster on the previous lap though for Brandholm, so he's definitely got the speed to do this, as we're now on to the final lap.
Yeah, crucial for Brandholm to get another point as well, because at the moment he's looking to drop to 4th in the championship, a couple of points behind Cedric Bill, and Canzonieri is going to move up to 2nd. He's going to be 9 points behind Peter Knapp in the championship lead, is the Italian with that 2nd place then. But Brandholm, oh, look at how much Gallimatis is just struggling here. It was the wrong call to stay out so long on the hards, over 25 laps now, I believe.
Yeah, that's not the fastest way for him to get to the end of the race. I'm sure Danove is going to be sliding his way past when we get to it. Is there going to be any other final lap overtakes? It looks like this might be the closest realistic one for position. De Vries should be able to hold on from Knapp, and Massa isn't going to be able to catch. But at the front, it is going to be a dominant victory for the Go Team driver.
Here we go, Cedric Bill then, the Frenchman, about to come through at the final corner at Circuit of the Americas to take his first win in FSR Academy for Go Team, one that launches him back into the championship hunt. And don't forget about Canzonieri, just 5 seconds behind up the road as Brandholm snatches away 7th from Kostas Gallimatis. There's Canzonieri. He moves up to 2nd in the title race and now is the closest challenger to Peter Knapp. But also Josh Hughes is just coming through the final corner now, the British driver. He's never finished in FSR Academy before, and now he takes his first podium. And what a day this is for himself and SimSpark there. Massa falls just short again in 4th position as Gerloff De Vries, he's going to hold off Peter Knapp to take 5th. What an excellent drive from the Dutchman himself to keep it clean, stay out of trouble, and profit a top 5 here.
And in the end, it's going to be Knapp beating Danove Brandholm, but is there going to be some penalties coming his way that reduce the points gain and maybe even make it into a points reduction between them coming into the one final race of the season? Is going to be the 4 drivers of Bill, Canzonieri, Brandholm and Knapp, who are all going to be so close to each other. Zanini facing the wrong way. Fortunately, he's already gone past the finish line, and then Terry Crawford will be the final driver to finish there. But yeah, I think Ed, it's going to be 4 drivers all close to each other coming into the final race. Is going to be a bit of a charge in Japan.
Yeah, so if I worked it out right, and that's a big if, Nap should be on 137 points. This is before any penalties, as Terry Crawford completes the race and gets another 13th position to his name. Nap 137, Canzonieri 128, so that's 9 points down. Bill 126, 2 points down on Canzonieri, and then Branfom another 2 points down. So very, very close for second, but 9 points still. Nap still in the box seats to win this championship next time out. But the person who won today was Cedric Bill, and he's going to be over the moon with that. What a fantastic performance by himself. Canzonieri pushed him fairly hard, but in the end, didn't quite have enough to challenge. And Josh Hughes, what a story there, from second on the grid, jumped the start, and then somehow was able to use a brave strategy, stayed out long on the hards at the end, and got third place there to beat Nando Master in the ground effect. Gerlof de Vries got up to fifth by the end with a very, very clever strategy and some good racing there. Peter Knapp recovered up to sixth after the incident with Dano Branfom. There could still be repercussions from that. So keep your eyes on the forums and on the championship results page to see anything that happens there. I'm sure Cam will be going long into the night at the end of today to look into all the pro and academy action. Costas Gallimatis, a gamble to stay on the hard tyres for 26 laps at the end. It didn't quite pay off by the end. They were completely spent. Davide Zanini recovers to ninth after a little bit of a half spin. Could have been better for Zanini today, but still a top 10, I think. After the season he's had, he will take that. And Luca Filin, after having some damage in the pit lane in the crash with Rasmus Andreasen, he rounds out the top 10. Olivier Demoliens is 11th ahead of Perseus Miram. Luca Viscott retires very, very late on. But I'm not sure if he'll still be classified ahead of Terry Crawford in the... I believe he won't, actually. I think Terry Crawford does beat him by completing the distance, even being a lap down on him. So it should be Terry Crawford 13th, Luca Viscott failing to finish, along with the two valets of Rasmus Andreasen, who lost that rear wheel in the pit lane, and Van den Hudding, who blew his engine at the start, along with, of course, Joe Gillette, who got disconnected right before the race was about to begin. There we go then. A very, very unexpected result for the championship, and a very, very popular winner, it must be said, Peter Knapp, finally breaking his deck there. But only one more race to go, Cam, and Peter Knapp still in the lead, but by a much reduced margin, only 9 points to Canzonieri, Bill, and Branfom. And it's going to be an all-out fight in Japan to see who's going to take this Academy Championship.
Yeah, it's going to be almost a winner-takes-all situation with how close they are, which is rather good to see that we are getting some action. And that comes on the 4th of August. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And hopefully we'll be getting some crazy strategies once more to round out the season. But of course, for today, Ed, we still have one final race to go. The WC race is postponed for one extra week, but we got Pro in just a short while.
Exactly, of course. So that's the another four-way championship fight, funnily enough, between Patrick Sevitt, Sergio Fletcher, Zoltzux, and of course, Alessandro Maggio, all separated by 12 points in total, but only about 3 or 4 separate the top 3. And that's going to be fascinating to watch in a few moments' time. But thank you very much, Cam, for joining me. Thank you very much to Antoni as well for running the first bit of the broadcast. Thanks to you for watching. I've been Edward Hunter, and well done to Cedric Bill for winning here at the Circuit of the Americas for the very first time. But the championship on a knife edge. Knapp leads. Can he seal it next time out in Japan? Join us there.
Hello, I'm Jack Nichols, and welcome to Highlights.
Who's going to break Apex World title?
These two go.
He's going to do it. His first victory.
The World Championship is done. What a race it's been.